Yeah, so look, we'll never not be a developer investor. When you look at where, call it, the real returns are made, it's obviously being an owner.
On the equity side.
However, by being, working on a much larger portfolio in property management, now we manage 22 million square feet now, it gives you this connectivity to the market. So we are now in 7 Canadian cities. It allows us to have leasing teams, construction teams. We have relationships with the cities. We have relationships with the brokers. We have relationships with the local lenders. And so one feeds the other. We're a better investor developer because we have exposure on the property management. And then we're better property managers because we have that development experience.
Hello, and welcome back to the Espace Publication Podcast, a show dedicated to commercial real estate here in Quebec. And today it's a pleasure and an honor to have Mr. Brett Miller, CEO of Canderel, on the show. Hi, Brett. Welcome.
Hi, Axel. Very nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
It's a pleasure to be here. There's been a lot of Canderel's a huge firm. It's had a lot of growth, a lot of things happening, and now with the new partnership with Espace Publication, we really wanted to have you on as one of our first guests because I know you're also very dear to Andrew. So thanks for coming on.
Terrific, wonderful to help.
So Brett, you are now the CEO of the company, but you didn't start in that role. How did you, I want to hear a little bit more about your background in real estate that led you to this.
With pleasure. So I've been CEO of Canderel for 6.5 years now.
Okay.
But it is an interesting story. When I was in university at McGill, I was always interested in real estate. In fact, at the time they offered a real estate program, which I concentrated in and took a course with a good friend of mine, Greg Kogel, who was a teacher. And when I told him I was looking for a summer job at the end of school, he said, there's only one firm to work with. You should work for Canderel.
Wow.
This is back in 1986. So I went to Canderel as a summer job.
Okay.
And in fact, I had planned to go to Europe to travel for 3 months. My tickets were purchased. And at the end of the summer, John Wiener said, well, we'd love to offer you a permanent position. And I said, wait, I'm going traveling in Europe. And he said, well, sometimes you have to make choices in life. So obviously I made a choice to stay with Canderel and stayed with the company for 7 years.
Wow.
And it was in the big boom of real estate. So from 86 to 91, real estate was through the roof.
Yeah.
Massive amount of building, great opportunities. And I as a young person in Canderel with a leader like John Wiener who gave rope and said to young people, just run. It was a fabulous school.
Nice.
Unfortunately, in 92, 93, it kind of all came crashing down.
Yeah.
And we had called the Great Recession of real estate, at which point in time I decided to go off and do an MBA in Europe.
Okay.
In France, in Fontainebleau, at a school called INSEAD.
INSEAD. Oh, yeah. I studied in Fontainebleau as well. Not at INSEAD, though.
Okay, terrific. Okay.
Yeah.
So wonderful time there. And then I stayed in Europe for 10 years.
Okay.
And subsequently, 3 kids in tow. Decided I wanted to have them, grow up in Montreal. Came back to Montreal and ran CBRE's office.
Okay.
Which was 6 people at the time, and grew that business. Took on responsibilities as executive vice president for Eastern Canada, so that grew. And then in 2012, left to become the CEO of JLL Canada, which at the time was quite a small company in Canada, despite the big global brand.
Yeah.
And I was given, the rope and the runway to grow that into a substantial business. And then my good friend and mentor through my career, John Wiener, called in 2018, and he said, okay, it's time to come back to the roost. Would you consider coming in as CEO? It's time that I take my foot off the gas and come back to the company. At which point I decided to come back to Canderel.
Wow,
so I've kind of gone full circle. And in fact, funny story, the location of my desk in 2000 Peel is exactly where I sat when I was, in 1986. And so I say to my kids, I didn't get very far in life.
I came back to the same desk.
Same desk, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So the founder, Mr. Jonathan Wiener, had a lot of faith in your ability, and given the experience that you had acquired since you were a student, and then 20 years later you come back, obviously with a lot more.
Yeah, John's a fabulous. He's built an incredible company. In fact, we just celebrated our 50th year. Yep. We had all of the alumni come, and it's been an amazing alumni through Canderel, leading some of the largest organizations in Canadian real estate. It was great to bring everyone back. We had a party at his country house, and he's always entrepreneurial, believing in talent, believing in youth, there to offer guidance and support, but let people run as fast as they can.
Well, it's a testament to the vision.
Yeah,
that's that's really helpful. Now, thank you for sharing the story of how you started as a summer student at Canderel and then coming back, because there's also in the last 50 years been an evolution in the business, whereas at the very beginning, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was really just a straight developer and maybe from developing land or redeveloping buildings, whereas now the company is a lot more than that. And I'd love to hear your take on the evolution, because that's directly tied to the market and some of the obstacles.
Yeah, we've had a lot of thinking about our kind of strategic growth plan. So Canderel's DNA is absolutely an investor and developer, and we do so with our own capital and in conjunction with partners.
Yeah.
And we do that right across Canada, and we will continue to do that. It's a big part of our business, and we've built some of the most sophisticated and complex buildings in the most creative financial structures. And so we have this great DNA in terms of, creating value out of real estate. But at the same time, when I came back in 2018, I said to John, we've both lived, if you're around in real estate for a while, we've lived through cycles. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the income of the company and was very exposed to development.
Okay.
And I said, coming from the worlds of JLL and CBRE, where you have project management and property management and all these ancillary services, appraisal and due diligence services, I said, I think we have the ability, with our knowledge and our experience, to offer more on the service side. Yeah. And Canderel was already starting to do some third-party services businesses. So I said to John, let's really ramp that up and make that a big component of our business, particularly with regard in two areas, is managing large, complex office buildings. And then also offering kind of development services to the third parties.
Okay.
And so we took a concerted effort in that way. We organized the company so that we can deliver those services with quality, and we also made a number of acquisitions. We acquired 2 companies in property management in Alberta. We acquired, now we're up to 2 companies in project management and very specialized building technology services based out of Ottawa, a company called Tyree Intelligent. And then we also bought 2 companies, one in Toronto and one in Montreal, that do management of condos for condo associations. Okay. So we now manage something like 22,000 doors. So all of these are around the life cycle of real estate. Yeah. And so what does that do for us? It it provides consistent cash flow. Yeah. I think we also have the ability versus other property managers to bring a lot more to our assignments, because we can't take the hat off that's always on our heads, which is we are the developer investor. Yeah. So we're always looking for ways to create value, and as opposed to simply collecting the bills and keeping the buildings clean, we're always looking, putting ourselves in the owner's shoes and saying, hey, how can we create value here? Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to spot opportunities in existing buildings that might have been mismanaged and that you might be able to add more value to it.
Exactly.
And this concentrated effort, was it just purely in an effort to diversify and, as you said, be less exposed to straight development cycles? Or is there a longer vision in providing third-party services all around?
Yeah, so look, we'll never not be a developer investor. When you look at where call it the real returns are made is obviously being an owner.
On the equity side.
However, by being working on a much larger portfolio in property management, now we manage 22 million square feet now. It gives you this connectivity to the market. So we are now in 7 Canadian cities. It allows us to have leasing teams, construction teams. We have relationships with the cities. We have relationships with the brokers. We have relationships with the local lenders. And so one feeds the other. We're a better investor developer because we have exposure on the property management. And then we're better property managers because we have that development experience. And now we're going through an interesting, I'll give you a little scoop.
Sure.
We did a big strategic study over the last 3-4 months. And we looked at, what is our next stage of growth. And we kind of came to the conclusion, and we've heard this in the marketplace, that people are a little bit confused about our brand because some people think of us as an investor developer.
Yeah.
And then others are saying, oh, well, you're getting into property management, but how can you do that? You're kind of a competitor with me when you do, you're buying a building. And so we've actually decided to separate the company into two.
Okay.
The Canderel brand, as we know it, will be the investor developer, continue to grow and work with partners, financial institutions and such. And then we're creating this new service co.
Okay.
We're just in the process of doing a naming exercise.
Oh, exciting.
And defining essentially what its go-to-market strategy will be. And that'll be released in the next 6 weeks.
Very good.
And to continue that further, I'm very excited about property management's future.
Okay.
Probably more excited than anybody. And typically you say property management and people go, well, okay.
Why? Because there's no money there.
It is being transformed overnight for two reasons. One is both internally in terms of its function. AI is allowing us to automate everything that can be automated. So if you think of the majority of property management tasks, what are they? They're repeated frequently. Many are somewhat mundane,
low value add,
requiring a lot of brain power. And so AI can do it and even do it faster and more accurately. So when you're doing bank reconciliations and you're doing payables and you're doing budgeting, you're doing reporting, and even connectivity to the building systems so that work orders are generated automatically if a VAV box is not working or if a chiller is nearing the end of its life. There's so much that becomes essentially automated. And so that allows us to take our staff and say, okay, don't focus on the mundane kind of boring tasks. Kick your brain into high speed and think of how you're going to take this property even further. So it's a big change, and we're investing huge amounts, particularly with some of our technology partners, in being essentially leading the market in terms of where we can take building technology. And so that's internal operations. Also, buildings are becoming much more sophisticated. You just think of it. So we have an individual doing the vacuuming every night, and then we have an individual walking around as a security guard, checking every 2 hours, every lock is closed and every floor is vacant. Well, what happens if you have a robotic vacuum cleaner that is also a security guard?
Because they have sensors.
And so all of these things are happening. You can even do, what exists is drone window cleaning from the exterior. Currently run by a drone pilot, but that can be automated. So all of these things are happening, and so even in the building systems, there will be huge advances. So our role as a property manager is actually to be a master of new technology. So that's one part. The second part, which I think is even more exciting, is really the evolution of what the office building must deliver to its client. And for many, many years, the client was the tenant. And if the tenant signed a 10-year lease, it's like handcuffs. Thank you very much, Mr. Tenant. I got you in handcuffs. You're going to pay me come hell or high water every month at the beginning of the month, and whether I am good or not good.
And this is what you signed up
Doesn't really
for.
matter.
So
Exactly.
now it's your problem.
So now, based on the pandemic and the whole work from home, we are finally saying, no, our customer is not the tenant. Our customer is the employee.
Is a user.
And we have to make sure that that employee has an exceptional experience when they come to work. Yeah. Otherwise, why shouldn't they just stay at home and work behind their computer screen? And so right almost during, and just after the pandemic, we launched a concept called Okkto. Okkto, which is, don't ask me, it's a made-up word.
Yeah.
We like the sound of it, Okkto, octopus.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, what are the components of a building and building operations that will deliver on this promise of workplace hospitality, thinking of the occupant.
Yeah.
And so it's got a bunch of components to it, namely the arrival experience. Buildings, most office buildings were built to have entrances that intimidate, show prestige, they're cold, and they're almost faceless.
Yeah.
And we said,
unwelcoming.
That's not what people want. People want to feel like they're walking into a club.
Yeah.
They want to feel like they're walking to a boutique hotel. So how do you soften the lobbies, add aroma, add music, and most importantly, add a concierge?
Yeah.
And be recognized by name. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the building itself, have multiple places to work. So flex floors. So you can have small breakout rooms. You can have large conference rooms. You can have obviously the cafes and the kitchen areas. And then the building itself has to offer bicycles and showers and gyms and yoga rooms. And then the building management has to offer all sorts of experiences. So whether it's a lunch hour, wealth management lecture, or it's a 5 to 7 cocktail, or it's a group that walks on the mountain once a week. It's almost unlimited in what we can do. And so, we feel that buildings need to be operated that way. And we've introduced that in all of our larger buildings across Canada with a huge impact.
Wow.
Our yoga classes are sold out.
Yeah, I'm not.
And so then you could say the occupant, you could say, hey, if you were staying at home, you are missing out on so much.
All of this.
Think of coming to work as this whole bevy of experiences that you're going to participate in, all provided by your building. And it's going further. And this is where I get really excited. So we use a technology. It's a company that we work with closely. David Abrams' company is called Hilo. So it's a concierge app, which think of it almost as like the building newsletter, but now all done through an app. Yeah. And you can use it to get building information. You can sign up to these yoga classes. You can know where you park your bike. And that's also changing to the point where it's really it's an app that you're going to use to customize your experience. So you wake up in the morning and the app coordinates with your agenda. Okay, don't forget you need your parking space is being reserved. The Champlain Bridge is closed for a strike today, so you should take Victoria, and you should arrive at work at 9:10. Would you like your protein shake delivered to your desk? Yeah. We've booked your spot at the yoga, but you have a conflict in your agenda, so would you like to take the later course? Yes. And by the way, there's a 5 to 7 cocktail party, end of day, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is going to allow to have a customized experience for every employee. What we want to do, which is a tough thing to do, is work closely with the employer as a consultant to be their engagement officer for them, almost a part of their HR team. Yeah. Now,
that's a lot to push.
This is very different from the old property management, right? Yeah. We are not just collecting rents and keeping the building clean. And so Canderel really wants to take this offer to market. Yeah. I would say we're quite advanced. And I would say I'd be happy to come back in 12 months And you can ask me how we've progressed. Because it's moving very quickly.
And as you said, I'm so happy you give us this whole description because you've tied so many aspects of why this is possible now through the technology and the various tools that we have. And it's a completely different work experience than before where you didn't really speak to anyone and it was a cold building and you just punched in and punched out. Whereas now, as you said, it's an extension. People are going to a resort and that's almost what they expect. Now, the trick question is, have the Canderel offices already been using this technology or using it as a test ground?
So we have about a dozen large office buildings across Canada where Okkto is in place.
Okay.
And high-low is rolled out, I think, in about half of the buildings so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a great moment to get feedback and to perfect the machine and all this. And actually, this is a great segue in terms of the vision that the company has, because what you described is a lifestyle experience. Now, we also have the hard reality in real estate that we need capital. And you described at the beginning the importance that Mr. Wiener had in creating good, long, creative capital partnerships with various larger institutions. In today's world where I find it's more competitive on absolutely everything, have you been able to secure the capital needed to be able to continue working on those projects?
Very good question. And I would say that's one of the biggest challenges we're facing, particularly with the way we manage and create value in office buildings. We're seeing all sorts of purchase opportunities. Class B, Class C buildings, downtown well located, but poorly leased and poorly managed and don't have these amenities. We know we can get in there and
flip it
and really reposition them. That being said, we can't be 100% owner of every dance we want to dance at. So we need to work with capital. And for the last 2 years, 3 years maybe, our traditional capital partners have been just out of the market.
Okay.
So the pension funds, the real estate asset managers, the pension funds in Canada, the Big Eight, the Maple Eight, have made the decision to either diversify outside of Canada or move out of real estate, or some of these funds are now dispensing more money than they're receiving, so the fund sizes are decreasing.
Yeah.
And then on the asset managers, many of them built these funds 5 years ago, IRR driven. They're dealing with their difficult properties and have redemption calls, and so they're not putting out capital.
No.
So we've gone internationally. We work, in particular, Germany. So we work with a number of German funds. There's an opportunity there, and to family offices.
Yeah.
But it's our biggest challenge right now. And in fact, on our development pipeline, we have about a dozen fantastic sites across Canada to do purpose-built rental or to do condo. And condo still works in some markets, by the way. We just can't find the capital. And the actual project numbers and returns are better than I've ever seen. But just can't, very, very challenging to find the capital.
Okay, so I'm so glad you're sharing this because I find it extremely refreshing and reassuring because I've had difficulty with capital, and if Canderel does too, then it's not just
it's across the board. And by the way, not only in real estate.
Yeah.
Same thing with private equity. It's very and there's stock markets are through the roof, and they continue to hit new highs every day.
Yeah.
And so an investor says, wait a second, I got a 30% return on my portfolio last year. Why would I take that out and put
Why would I
in real
bother
estate?
with your risk and being stuck in the capital?
So it'll change. It'll change. I think, now I'm going to get on my bandwagon, and not the bandwagon, what do you call it, the soapbox.
Yeah.
And I would say our governments have not serviced us well at the municipal, provincial, and federal level.
Couldn't agree more.
Almost in every province, in every city, we have a major productivity issue in this country.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks about productivity issue being about companies investing capital in technology. For me, it's the problem of red tape and bureaucracy and a culture in our governments of putting up hurdles supposedly because it's protective of the public interest. And maybe in a micro sense it is, but in a macro sense it hurts business so much.
Absolutely.
I can give you example after example of pure folly. I mean, we had to put up 3 2x4 blade signs on a property that we're transforming in the Mile X. It's been 9 months to get approval for the signage permit.
Yeah.
And finally, the inspector said, I'm too busy to give you your permit, but I'm not going to give you a fine if you put it up.
What kind of answer is that?
Right?
Like,
So,
out of respect, that's just,
I mean,
yeah,
cities. These cities work for us, the taxpayers, and for business. And also, it's not only in private enterprise. I'm I'm on boards of hospitals. I'm on boards of non-for-profits, and they have the same challenges as well. And we just need a complete revamp of the way we govern our society, to just reduce all of this red tape, get approvals. We almost need an ombudsman who is there thinking about the greater interest of society.
Yeah.
I mean, another example.
It's refreshing to hear this. I couldn't agree more. We have 3 ongoing projects right now with my partner, who's my wife, and we've had difficult time with the cities just because of the most mundane things, and it took 18 months to get a permit for 4 units. It's absolutely ridiculous. And as you said, it actually hurts all of us because at the same time it's screaming, shortage of housing. Well, we want to build. Just let us build. Give us a permit.
And look at the cost of all this oversight.
Yeah.
Right? The federal government civil work increased by 40% over the last 5 years. Well, I can understand why. They're busy, but are they busy creating value?
No, they're not.
So it's very frustrating.
And in your view and your experience, how do we go about remedying that? Is it a question of cutting the red tape and removing entities, removing certain positions? I mean, to me, there's too much labor force that's dedicated to that. That's, to me, dead weight and unproductive. They're not contributing to the economy.
It takes real leadership at all levels. I actually, not to get political, but Soraya Martinez, whose campaign I'm supporting, is suggesting that the municipal workforce should decrease 10%.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean also terminating people. It's just when people retire,
you don't renew.
You're not renewing, and you're looking at ways of being efficient. I just spent 30 minutes talking about AI and how I'm excited about the future and the efficiency. Could you imagine if we revamped government? Look how many repetitive, mundane tasks there are in government. If you revamp government to be inclusive of all of this new technology.
I completely agree with you, but I think to a lot of them, it's kind of a sole societal responsibility to be a major employer. Whereas I agree with you that all those employees could be, that workforce could be reoriented into more productive means. Yeah,
I mean, if I feel like it's a car we're trying to drive with our parking brake on. That's business today in Canada.
Yeah.
And if you take that parking brake off, there will be so much, first of all, capital investment and creativity and growth in the economy. It'll employ all of these people that came out of government. I'm convinced of that. I mean, there'll be a transition, but we can handle that.
So when you come back in 12 months to talk about the success of Okkto, what should we be looking back on that you will have achieved at the firm?
Well, I would hope that we've really developed that brand.
Yeah.
So that not only real estate people, but the general public recognizes that this is a new way of working in an office building. And then, of course, I am a businessman, so obviously I'd have to triple my portfolio by then.
Oh, wow. That's And you're starting from a very small base, so it's absolutely achievable. Well, thank you very much, Brent. It's refreshing to hear from an experienced leader like yourself, both when it comes to technology, your view on some of the red tape that we're facing that is slowing us down as a society. And, I'm glad we touched on it a little bit because I feel that's one of the major obstacles that we have as a nation right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many good willing people who want to work hard, who want to develop, who want to add units, who want to build, but they're being blocked at every level. So hopefully someone out there listening to this will be able to contribute to a solution. And it's also a call to the municipal changes that we're going to have this year, at least in the city of Montreal and actually elsewhere in Quebec, that it'll put us on different tracks.
Yeah, look, we're in real estate, so we always see the glass as half full. These are problems of today that can be overcome.
Yeah.
And we need some just great dialogue. It's not us and them,
No.
Government versus private sector. We have to be a team, work together, and with a bunch of hard work, I think we can find solutions.
Yeah. On this wonderful note, thank you again for joining us today
Perfect.
on the show, Brent. It's been a real pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And to all those who are listening, as usual, I want to remind you, please go visit the website, Espace Publication, Espace Montréal, a new partner for the podcast, where we are dedicated to bring you thought leaders and experts of the commercial real estate field. On this wonderful note, as usual, keep researching your market, make some offers. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next week.